Namaskar, dear devotees and friends. Today is Sunday morning. We will be studying the Yoga Vasistha. Before that, let us chant this mantra. Dikaladi anavachinna ananta chinmatra murtae svanubhuti ekamanaya nama shantaya che Tejase. Tejase, that is the Brahman, tranquil Brahman. It says, I salute the Supreme Brahman who is beyond all qualities, tranquil, beyond the limitations of the directions, space, time, or objects, who alone is the embodiment of infinite consciousness and who is to be known only through the proof of one's own experience. The last line, to be known, swanubhuti. Suppose my guru has realized, suppose my father has realized, somebody else has realized, that won't help me. So that is the reason in the spiritual life, it is only the person, very individual. No one can help us. Shankaracharya, he has described this condition very wonderfully in the Vivek Chudamani. He said, suppose someone is carrying a heavy load and someone else comes to help, they can. Or maybe the father has taken, the son can come forward to pay back the loan. It is possible. But the spiritual life, no, it is not. So you have to do it yourself. So swanubhuti, that is the only proof. Somebody is telling and someone is mentioning, no, that is not the proof. You have to. That's why Swami Vivekananda said, religion is realization. You have to realize yourself. And in one poem he has mentioned as another meditation, the last experience of the meditation, Nirvikalpa Samadhi. In Bengali he said, Bojhe pran, bojhe jar. Only he can understand who has realized that. So this is the wonderful thing. In many other religions, many other philosophies, they always say, someone has realized it and that is sufficient for you. You need not to do that, etc. But it is only Vedanta, it says, not at all. You should try to understand yourself. And unless and until you do that, it is of no use. Friends, we are studying this one. And today we are going to study Today is 21, so our subject is the real nature of this world. This is very important. You know that the second chapter continuously the Rishi, the real nature of this world. If we misunderstand, then there is no chance of realizing the Brahman. So he is very giving the full attention for the Rama to understand that. And those who are regularly, the friends, you have regularly following this Yoga Vasistha study must have noticed that the Guru Vasistha teaching his disciple Rama about this real nature of the world. First he said, O Rama, this world is Brahman. So then explanation and different type of he was giving examples. Aditya avatire rekhena rashmaya ena bhavitaha. In the Yoga Vasistha 20th verse it says, Aditya abhyati rekhena rashmaya ena bhavita. Can you think about the sun without its Can you think about the sun's ray without considering sun? No. So that is the way, the example he is giving. O Rama, the relation between the world and the Brahman are the same. This is very, very interesting. Majority of the people, they are telling that this world is not here. The Ajata he said it is not there at all. It is not born yet, created. So why you are thinking about this? Why you are afraid of this world and its bondage and its attraction? What is all this? It is nothing is there. This is one type. Another is telling, no, it is there and God has created it and we have to understand this, and slowly when you are praying to God, then only God will make us understand. That is also different grades of the people, they will understand in a different way. So when we have began the journey for the spirituality, the one thing is very certain, we must understand that our goal is the God or the self or the Brahman. The three way the same truth. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna also mentioned the same way, and the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. Different names, but the goal is the same. Now, some people will say, I am not going to into that the discussion. If you realize God, then it is the duality. The God is there, you are there. So sometime it may be that you have to come back once again because you are not completely liberated. This is one argument. And about the self also it says, if you are without any object you are meditating, you go and merge with the self. For the bhakti also the same thing. God himself, he merges with the God at his feet. And Vedanta says, of course, the Brahmavid, Brahmaiva Bhavati. The one who knows the Brahman, they become Brahman itself. So this is the ultimate. Now how to understand? The problem is with this world. So many things are there. Our experience are there. And all our sense objects it is going, and we can touch someone, we can see someone, we can hear someone, some sound, we can taste. Even then, how can I say that it is not there? So this is really, really very difficult to understand. So, but friends, we are studying the highest Vedanta. Here our discussion is focused on the ultimate Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, where only one thing they will be going on repeating and repeating, like the Brahman alone exists and nothing else. In relation between the world and Brahman, it is also the same. The Rama understood, or at least his teacher said, that say you cannot differentiate the ray and the sun. Similarly, don't try to differentiate the creation and the creator. This world is nothing but the Brahman. This is first. And second, he said, O Rama, Brahman alone exists. And to explain, he said, suppose a gold bangle. Now, he is giving another example. So many varieties of example he has given. And so simple way he tried to explain this very difficult philosophy. I am existing, at the same time I have to realize that the I, this body, this mind, this name associated with all that I see is nothing but the consciousness, that Brahman. Can you imagine? So this is really, really very subtle. It needs complete focus on that subject and also the practices. But anyway, nothing wrong in understanding the truth. So the teacher is telling, Yoga Vasistha, the Vasistha Muni is telling that, O Rama, Brahman alone exists. And as an example, he said, the golden bangle. A person having no knowledge of gold, he sees only the bangle. For him, the different type of bangles are there. Maybe sometimes the tribals, they make the wooden bangles, they other types are there, irons are there, many different types are. A golden. Suppose I don't have the idea of gold, then what will happen? So this is the main thing. You know that Narottam Nagar, Arunachal Pradesh, it is bordering the Assam. So most of the time I used to come to Dig Boy. This is very interesting. So they took me over there, and then when I was asking, what is this name? Of course, now by mistake the spell in a different way, but it is dig, digging, the boy, the person. Dig Boy, dig. So from that, Dig Boy. What happened? The one young gentleman means the staff, the worker, he came on an elephant, and he came in a shortcut way and to report to the British, the officer was there. And the British officer noticed that the animal, the elephant, all the 4 feet are having the oil. He went, took some example, it is nothing but the oil. So immediately, they are very intelligent people, they know what is what. These people, they are coming regularly from there. They never could understand the cost of that. He told, hey boy, take me to the particular place where the elephant had to cross, and the elephant got these marks. They went over there, and when they showed, then he said, dig boy, dig. Still that well is there. If you go, the officers will take you there to show, and that was the first well rig in India. So that from there only, like a fountain, the gas came, the petrol, diesel and all those, and it became very famous. How? Now the Vedanta, if we apply. So many people saw that, but they didn't understand that this particular oil is so costly and it can be utilized in this way. But this British, he knew what is what, so immediately. So our Vasistha Muni is giving the example. Suppose you give a golden bangle to someone, thinking that it will be sufficient for his livelihood, he will go and sell it and he will get a lot of money. But if the poor man doesn't know what is gold, then what will happen? Nothing. So he will just either throw or give it to somebody else, and he will say, why he has given this one. So you have to understand, and similarly, when we see this world, we see with so many varieties, and we are afraid of this world, and we think that world is going to bind us. Why? Because of the ignorance. What is the real nature of this world? Brahman only. The Brahman, in the different form it is manifested. The moment we understand this, think of the joy of the Brahmagyani. Whatever you see is nothing but that Brahman. You can feel, you can touch, you can talk to. That's why Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna said, I promise to you that you can talk to God. And it is possible. So this is the example that the Dig Boy, the same way so many things happen. So many things. Sometimes the people, they will go and they will bring a very costly thing without knowing what is that. And when they have come to sell it, immediately the shopkeeper understood it is really, really very costly. But you know that if he is not a good person, he will say, oh, this is not much, what I am going to do with this, just a stone, a little glittering stone, and he will pay less and he will be making a fortune out of that. So if you know, you are benefited. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna went to meet a very famous person in Bengal, and he was a very kind-hearted, highly educated person, Vidyasagar. Title, the Vidyasagar. He was the ocean of learning. His knowledge was so much, but even then that person couldn't understand what Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna said. He was helping the poor people, particularly the ladies, out of emotion. But Sri Ramakrishna said, why emotion? Try to understand that at the back of this, the person you are helping, apparently he is suffering, but it is not a person, not a lady. You are helping, you are going and serving the God. But it is very difficult. I am helping. If I don't help, then where they will go? Ego. So ego is covering. So why we can't understand every time, not only me, but the people and the things all around? Ego. And what the ego is doing? Ego says, oh, this is not this. I know. Bas, that ego will completely deviate you. So this is what it says, knowledge of Brahman is not possible without understanding the real nature of this world. The knowledge of Brahman, the Brahman is consciousness, but this world is going on attracting, binding. What is the problem? And suppose, one after another the example will come, and it's giving the example after example to make Sri Rama to understand the truth. And it says, it is the 24th, the mantra we can say the words, Atmano opi tatha vishwam eva layam brajet mridi kumbho jale biji kanake kundalam yatha. Again the giving the example. Mridi and the earth. So from there, Kumbho means the earthen pot. Earthen pot came from where? From the earth only. It is made by earth. And then the lump of clay they are using to make that earthen pot. And if you break it, it goes back to the original, it becomes clay again. So Mridi is Kumbho. Kumbho means the pitcher. The pitcher is the earthen pot, and when it breaks, it goes back to the original thing. Jale, the waves, Biji. That means, the jale means in the water, it is the waves. And the wave is separating itself as if from the water, and then it is getting a name, the wave, but when it is breaking, where it is. And the third, Kanake kundalam yatha. Kanaka means the gold, kundalam, the earring. The earring made of gold, suppose you give the heat and it will melt, and where it will go? It will become gold again. So Kanake kundalam yatha, the golden earring goes back to the gold if you melt it. Now he says, Atmana opi, and therefore Atma also, as similarly the world being originated from the self, naturally at the time of dissolution will merge into the self. Opi tatha vishwam atmani eva layam brajet. Very wonderful the argument. Where from this world came? From the Brahman. How can you say that it is from Brahman? Because our scripture, the Veda, which we believe, the words that we believe, it says, Tadeva Saumya Ekam Agra Asid Ekam Eva Addityam. In the Upanishad it is there. Ekam Eva, only one, Addityam, and not two. Ekam Eva, It is only one and not two. Ekam eva advityam. It is the father, the teacher is teaching the student, Ekam eva advityam tadeva soumya idam agra asit. Was there. And that is the way they always say, from one all these things have come. And how? Now, we have already discussed, perhaps you will remember, the different Bada. The Bada means the theories. This is Parivartan Bada and Bibarta Bada, all these theories. When it is changing, is it changing for a permanent way? And the example they always say, from the milk, if it becomes yogurt, then the yogurt can never go back to the milk. It can never. Whether this world has been created by the God, the Brahman, or the Self, the Paramatma, can it go back if it is completely separated from it? Can it go back to that? No. Then what will happen? There will be two existences. And if there are two existences, something is going to be destroyed. So this argument as these weak points, of course there are many points are there, they will be arguing, but this is the weak point, that if the world is completely transformed and it is not going back to the original, which is God, which is Brahman, then what will happen? Many of the philosophies and the religion, they will say that no, once it has been created and separated. Why separated? Because you have committed sin, so you are separated. Only the God will say that, well, now you are completely free from sin, you can enter into, so different. But the Vedanta, ultimate Vedanta says nothing like that. Is a creation, when it comes, along with that comes a reflection of the original consciousness on our intellect. And that is what we say, I, Ami, Ahamkara, the ego, only reflection. If that reflection is not there, then I am not there. So that's why in spiritual life one should be very humble. Egoistic person cannot realize God. It is not possible. Only humble people can. They should all the time think that there is a problem with me, and that is my ego. For each and everything I am giving my own opinion and sticking to my own opinion and not understanding the truth, not understanding the reality, and I am thinking this is sufficient. Of course, if we don't accept God or Brahman, nothing is going to happen. Only you will go on taking birth and go on death and birth and death. Maybe sometimes in the reptiles, maybe in the animals world, again the birds, again. It will go on continuing. What is the problem? If you like to live in that way, go on living, no problem. So this teaching is not for those who never care for higher life. What is the higher life? I and my Father in heaven are one. The same truth should be revealed by the followers also. Otherwise, it is of no use. Someone realized, and I like that man, and I am following him, and following with some only a good thing that I am doing, the moral thing I am following. Why? Vedanta says, no. You have to realize it. You must realize, because you are also the same, having the same potentiality, only because you are ignorant. Now, he will go on giving, he says that Guru Vasistha gives another example. And what he says? Atma agyanat jagat bhati. Atma jnanat nivartate. In the 25th verse he says, Atma agyanat jagat bhati. When the jagat, universe, the manifested thing, as we call name and form, nama rupa. What is this jagat? In Sanskrit, Jagat means the combination of the name and form, anything having a name and form, they are belong to Jagat. And it changes. Why? Because it is not real. So Jagat Rupa, Atma Ajnanat, as because I don't understand the Atman, the Jagat Rupa, Jagat Bhati. He Atma Jnanat Nibartate. The moment you realize that Atma Jnana, it vanishes. Rajju Ajnanat, again the example they are giving, Rajju Ajnanat, when I was not having the idea of the rope, Ahi Bhati, Ahi means the snake in Sanskrit, Ahi means snake. Ahi Bhati, Bhati means I see, I feel. I see, I feel that is the snake. But in reality, it is only the rope. When I see this world, this Jagat, am I not making the mistake? And why the Hindus, they go and embrace each and everyone on the basis of this Vedantic ideology? Not that somebody just says, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and everyone is quoting Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. This is Hinduism, and then fighting with the neighbor, fighting with his brother, and at the same time Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. They're all not understanding and just like the parrot, they go on saying like that. It is not true. Religion is realization. You have to have the feeling of oneness. So again and again, the importance, the emphasis is given. The Vasistha, he is taking us slowly to the highest top. That is the Vedanta, where there is only one and no two. And when you realize the oneness, there is no fear. So, Abhayam Sarva Satsuddhi. Abhayam, this in the Bhagavad Gita it says, what is the Abhaya? The fearless. How it is possible? Because he knows I alone exist. Why should I be afraid? So, when you have the conception, the problem of fear comes. When only I am existing, where from the fear will come. So, Atma Jnanat Jagat Bhati. Atma Ajnanat. When I don't realize what is this, it is Jagat. For the children, the dolls are leaving. Jagat Bhati. They will go, and when they see the doll, they become so happy. They'll be talking with the doll, they'll be crying to get one, and they're playing with the doll, and spending hours after hours with the dolls. Can you and me do that? No. Why? What is the difference? Because we have understood what is that. The difference is understanding, difference is the knowledge. So that is why in the 25th verse, very nicely, I am repeating again and again so that we can understand it very clearly. The Jagat, all this multifarious thing that we see of the name and form, it manifests before us like that. Why? Ignorant about the truth of it. Atma Ajnanat Jagat Bhati. He Atma Jnanat Nibartate. When the Atma Jnana comes, then Nibartate, it goes away. Rajju Ajnanat Ahi Bhati. When a person is not having the real idea of that rope, he sees the snake and he sees it. Then the people come to help. Then they are focusing on the torch. Then only they will see, oh no, it is a... And when he realizes that it is nothing but a rope, the fear of that is exactly tad jnanacha nibartate. So what is main thing? Jnana. The knowledge. Knowledge of what? Knowledge of God, knowledge of Atman, knowledge of Brahman. And what is that? One all-pervading, eternal consciousness. All-pervading. everywhere, and it is eternal, never changes. So it says, Atma Ajnanat, ignorance about the self, Jagat Bhati, the world appears. He, again, Atma Jnanat, with self-knowledge, Nivartate, it dissolves. As Rajju Ajnanat Ohi Bhati, snake appears due to the ignorance about the rope, and fear of snake goes away with the knowledge of the rope. Friends, I am not giving the lecture, I am giving the class. So obviously, I like to, when people give the lecture, they just touch these points and put it in a different way, so that it is very interesting to listen. But it never goes to the deep into our mind. So I am taking one after another the verse, the sloka, and then trying to explain it and trying to give the example as best as possible. So now the Rishi says, O Rama, the existence of this world seems to be permanent. Why you know? Because the knowledge about the self has been forgotten for a long time. So every point the Guru is touching. Rama could ask that if it is so, this world is completely temporary, it is nothing there, it is just ajnana, ignorance about the reality of the world. What is this world? Brahman. But why I can't see this? Ignorance. So why it is for such a long time? Not only me, my father also sees the same way. My grandfather also has seen that same way. And his grandfather also. So in a tradition, each and every one of our family, they are having the same idea. Why? So Rishi is giving the answer because for a long, long time we have forgotten. That is the reason. Rama tasya adrishya atma tatyasya visvitaiva sthitim gatam jagat syat ishyarat Rama jagat rajju bhujangavat. Again, Rajju and Bhujanga, it is very classical for the Vedanta. I see that and I see the snake, and then I am trembling, I am perspiring, I am afraid. Everything is happening. For what? It's nothing. So this is the way we have to understand. You know that here in Homar Glen where we live, there is the monastery, there are 4 or 5 rooms and the small closed place. Anyone opening the door or closing the door, because the air is compact over there, the moment you open the door, some differences comes. So it is also going on hurting the other doors. So if you are inside the room, you hear somebody is knocking, like that. And if somebody is closing, almost the same thing it happens. In the beginning, somebody is knocking on the door. I came and opened, there is no one. And in the midnight, I was, why at this time? I opened and then there is no one. I used to wonder, who is playing like this? What is this? So when I was not knowing what exactly happening, it was a fear. Oh, what is happening? Then, not that I am sufficiently aged, so no, I am not that way afraid of all this. So I told, okay, let me see. If the ghost is coming, let us talk to. So what is his problem or her problem? Why knocking unnecessarily? So then I opened the door and no one was there. So one day it was really knocking and I was not opening. I thought that. Then it was banging. Then I went and opened. I found American Swamiji. So he wanted to get some signature or something. I told, oh, here is you. Then I told him. See, every time I feel somebody knocking, then he explained. And then Bharatanandaji told, No, it is because of the air, the tide, air cannot go. So that's why anyone opening the door or closing the door, the four of us they are there. So the same effect every time. I also hear this type of sound. So, but when somebody will call you, that is a different type of sound it will be. The moment the knowledge came, no anxiety, no fear, no problem. So this is the problem is ignorance. If you are ignorant about something, you are afraid. And if you are not ignorant, then you are not afraid. Sometimes some people who knows about the characteristics of the snakes, the snake charmers, they are the very venomous snakes, very poisonous snakes. They are not afraid. They go and they will be searching for that. Rather, the snake is afraid of that man, and somehow they will go and catch it, etc. etc. Why? They know the nature. They know how to catch the snake. But for us, any just name, the snake is there, we will never go to that side. So this is ignorance and knowledge. So what is the difference? Ignorance. Tasya adrishya atma tatyasya visritaiva stitim gatam. In that our guru is telling, Yoga Vasistha is telling, because for a long, long time, we have never ever heard about it or practiced it. So it has become almost a permanent thing. Oh, from the whole lineage, grandfather's grandfather, and then all this, everyone, what they taught us, you have to grow and you have to earn money, you have to marry, you have to settle in the family, and then there should be name, fame in the society. At least 10 people should appreciate you. And we grow into that. So we think always, every time, oh, this is the original thing. If anyone goes against it and he says, no, I like to be a monk, you will find that all the relatives will come and say, hey, what is it? Why to become monk? Begging? That is not a good thing. So you should go and study and earn. Previously they used to say those who cannot study, they become monk. Then the Ramakrishna Mission and many other organizations, very highly qualified people are coming. Then they, oh, why this? Maybe that they are a little crazy people. They do like this. Why this? Because for a long, long period of time, we have seen only this. People there trying to realize God. Yes, about Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, they said, oh, he's a crazy man. Why? Because every day they used to notice that 24 hours praying to God, meditating on God, and how he lived 12 years, long years, on the bank of Ganga in Dakshinesha. Each and every, that's why when I go, I feel each and every sand over there are holy because of this purity. And what is that purity? Knowledge. What is that knowledge? Everything is nothing but Brahman, consciousness. That's why Sri Ramakrishna never hesitated to open this Yajna Upovita, which is the mark of the Brahman, while meditating. When his own, the nephew told, why you are, because the Brahmin should not ever, once it happens, he is not supposed to open that Yajna Upovita, the holy, that thread that they are supposed to keep all the time. Sri Ramakrishna is to take it out at the time of meditation. When his nephew, the Brahmin boy, he noticed and then he was wondering and asked him, the Brahmin way, he said, no, because the Brahminical ego is not allowing me to realize God. Brahminical ego, I am pure, I have read the scripture, I was born in a Brahmin family, they are all illiterate people. Wrong, wrong and wrong. Those who think in that way, they go more and more darkness. So we are studying the Upanishads, someday we will have this. More and more darkness they go. Why? Because ignorance. What is that ignorance? Each and everyone is nothing but that Brahman. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna used to go to the houses of Pariya, the very low caste people. In India it is all there, in America and Europe it is not so much. Here the gradations are there, because human society difference will always be there. Here the difference is only because of the money. If you are a rich person, it's different. But in our case, the caste systems are there. Wrongly used the caste system. So, so this is the way he is telling Rama tasya adrishya atma tatyasya visritaiva stitim gatam. For a long, long period of time, that because that we didn't realize that, so we have forgotten about it. So we always say in the modern time, it is Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. And a poet, a Muslim poet, Nasrul, the Muslim poet, but he was a very broad-minded person. And he wrote, you have brought back, O Sri Ramakrishna, you have brought back the memories of the Vedas and the Upanishads. What is the memory? This truth. What is the truth? The each and everything is nothing but the manifestation of the same consciousness. The different type of people in a different type of jobs, maybe because of their karma phala, they are having the different things, but basically everything is nothing but that Brahman. The moment you understand that, Sri Ramakrishna displayed it in his everyday life. He has visited those places where the other people will never think of. Forget about the holy people. Other people will never go. But the Sri Ramakrishna used to go and observe the dramas enacted by some of the Bharabanitas, the prostitutes. So they used to do that. Sri Ramakrishna not only went over there with all people, and before everyone, he placed those ladies, unfortunate ladies, and told, you are all liberated. Chaitanya, Veigache. You have already got that consciousness. How he could do it? Out of emotion? No. Because of the realization. See, never could find any difference. Swami Vivekananda never could find any differences because of these. And this is Hinduism. Ishavashyamidam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat. In the Upanishad, Isha Upanishad, the very first words, everything is nothing but that consciousness, that God, and pervading the whole thing. And what is Hinduism? To understand this truth and realize this truth in one's life. And what is the result? Love for all beings. As long as differences are there, as long as the hatreds are there, you are not a religious person. You are traveling into that. So now it says that because of these, Advaita Vedanta is strongly uphold the Bibhartavada. Jagat syat Ishrat Rama, Jagat Rajju Bhujangabad. Jagat syat, truly, Ishara, O Rama, this Jagat that you are going to renounce is nothing but the Ishvara. Then giving the example, Rajju Bhujangabad. The Rajju Bhujanga, Bhujanga means the snake, Rajju means the rope. We have again and again we have discussed about that. The moment you can understand this is a rope, then you don't see the snake into that. As long as you are not to, now as because we are studying the Advaita Vedanta, the ultimate truth, and here the teaching is Sravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. It is not Dvaita, it is not Tantra. We should not mix it up. The different viewpoints are there for the different type of people, for our capacity to understand. For here the Advaita we are studying, so that it says Sravana, you have to listen. And what we should listen? As this Rishi Vasistha is telling Jagat is nothing but that Brahman. Oh Rama, don't misunderstand. And why? For a long, long time it is like that? Because for a long time, the moment you practice, immediately it will go. Again, Sri Ramakrishna, when someone was telling, so how the ignorance will go? Slowly, slowly. Sri Ramakrishna's example, unique example, suppose for 100 years a room was not lighted, it was dark. But the moment you come with a torch in hand, and what will happen? Immediately every corner will be lighted, every corner of the room. Will it take a long time? No. In a flash only, realization comes. So this we learn from here. So this is called Vivartavada, theory of apparent, the transformation. Jagat that we see is apparent. Friends, very deep next class, because the Hindus, they give the complete theory, you must understand, then only you go for the next step. Here it's telling, and we know that other two, the theory is also there, doctrine of transformation, Parinamavada, and doctrine of non-origination, Ajatavada. And here we say the apparent transformation, Vivartavada. The three Vadas, there are many others are also there. Drishti Srishti Vada, Srishti Drishti Vada. We will discuss maybe if we find time in the next class. So this, it goes on discussing why, and why. Because unless we understand this Jagat, and what is this Jagat? Me. I am the part and parcel of this Jagat. Because I am thinking, so I am having some happiness, I am having some tension, problems. Who is thinking? I am only thinking. So naturally everything is related with me. And if I am going to go out of this problem, out of this suffering, life after life, what I should do? I should listen to the teachings of the Vasistha, the Rishi Vasistha. And when the teachings of the Rishi Vasistha, he says that it is nothing but the ignorance that I learn. The Sravana. Sravana means hearing. Superimposing something, my imagination, on the truth. How it is? Again the example. I am superimposing the conception of the snake on a rope. So this is the first example, and that is the final example, that we are superimposing. Now they again go to analyze, when I am thinking that this world is like this, is it a permanent transformation because I thought like that? Some people say yes, and some people say no, it cannot be. So that is the Parinamavada, permanent transformation. And when it says apparent transformation, as if like that, but it is not. Sometimes when you are driving, and if it is in the summertime, road, and he can see the small waves also in that water. And when he reaches to that particular point where he was thinking the water will be, he says nothing. We see every time. Many of us are having this type of examples, experiences. So that means what we see may not be true. What we hear, that may be deep because of the condition of my ear, whether I can properly hear, or that particular sound, whether I recognize that or not. So this is the seeing and hearing and touching and smelling and tasting, they may be wrong. So when I am thinking that this world is like this, they may be wrong. First, the another question is it will go, I will go to the last verse through by telling that the Rishi is concluding the second chapter. The second chapter, he is giving the example, Sapne Jagrat Asat Rupa. You know by this time that Asat means not permanent. Sat, Asat. The Asat means, sometimes we say the Asat means it's not pure. Sat means pure. No, it is not the same, this meaning. Here the meaning is Sat means permanent, Asat means temporary. The Swapne, in dream, Jagrat, this world, the waking state, Asat Rupa, during the dream, mind do not remember awakened state, do we? If we are dreaming, sleeping, do you remember that I am awake? No. If I am feeling that I am awake, it is in dream. But in reality, it is not. Where then the Jagat goes? This manifested world, and I am so much concerned that doors should be locked, this should be this, that should be that. But when I sleep and go into deep sleep, then I don't know whether the doors are open, whether the burglars have come, whether what happened, what nothing happened. Nothing like that. I forget this world, isn't it? So that means it is not permanent. When I can forget temporarily in the dream about this world, that means permanently also I can forget. It says, Sapne Jagrat Asat Rupa. During the dream, we don't state. Second, Smritu Jagrat Asat Bopuhu. Smritu, when we are imagining or remembering or recollection of our thoughts, Smriti, we are thinking, when we were children, then what happened, this, that, etc., etc. Today morning, before coming to this class, someone rang, and then some talk came. Then I was remembering what happened to our the final exam, the class, how the boys they were behaving. The one mother, she is a devoted mother. She brought that in the Hindus particularly, it is among all the Hindus. They think if you are taking the marks of the yogurt on your forehead, that means all your brain will be, you can think and read and answer the question properly, etc. The mothers, they think. So the mother brought some yogurt and was giving that tilak, the mark on the forehead of her son. Then one of our friends, he was always naughty type, he went and told mother, auntie, can you please also give me? And she told, why not, son, come. Then she was thinking she will give the mark. Then the boy told, no, the whole yogurt, because I am hungry, I like to eat that. And then he took that and ate that and said, this is so tasty, very nice taste. From which shop you purchased? The mother was confused, but the father started laughing. Okay, you will have a good result, like that, they said. So it is all your understanding. When we were thinking that, remembering, that very moment we forgot the present condition. Isn't it? It happens like that. The old people, you will find that is vacant look, looking at the sky. Do you think he is not thinking anything? He is thinking the past. And the past, what happened, this, that. He goes to the memory, and he goes back, and all the happiness, or maybe sometimes something that gave him pain, that is, and he is oblivious about the present. So that means there are times when we are dreaming, we forget this present awakened world. When we are deeply thinking the past, memory, we forget the present, the awakened world. Mriti Janmani Asadrupa. When someone birth is not coming at all. And when mritu janma api asadbayam, asadmayam, at the time of death, the birth also is not possible. When the janmani, when the taking birth, the child is taking birth, no one will think about the death. And when someone is dying, no one will think about the birth. So we forget that moment, we forget. But instead of this last two, the first two lines are very good example that we truly forget. And when one we can forget, that means it is not true. So when there is, that means it is not true. If it is true, if it is eternal, it will never ever change. It cannot change. So thank you, friends. Up to this, we have completed the second chapter, and then we will continue after this slowly, and we will go to the 28th verse is the last verse, and as because there is not much time, in the next Sunday we will start with this 28th verse and go to the third chapter. Okay, is there any question?
Yes, Tanya Gua is asking, how can one know if he has realized Brahman?
Oh, this is a wonderful question. How? You know, I will tell you, Tanya, the one Swami, he came after a long practice of austerity in the Himalaya, and he came and met the senior Swamis. The president was our Brahmanandaji Maharaj, Director Bala Swamiji, S. Ramakrishna, and the others, like the Shivanandaji, they were all 2, 3, they were sitting. And he came and he told Swamiji, I have realized that the God, and it was so joyful, it was so, I felt happy. He was excited and they were listening to him. Then the Shivanandaji Maharaj asked him, do you want that much more of that joy you should enjoy? The joy that you have got at the time of meditation, do you want much more like that? Intensity of that joy, if it comes, then in Bengali, the Shivanandaji Maharaj told, Hainai, Hainai, Hainai. No, he didn't realize completely. Once you realized completely the Brahman, there will be no question. You need not to ask anyone. There will be, you yourself will feel. Then let me take another example from Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, and this is very practical. He gave the example that what happens after the God realization. Then he said, the one young lady, she was married, and the first time she has come to her father's house with the husband and husband's friends. In a joyous moment, in those days, the ladies, they used to always observe from the inner apartment of the building, so they were not the open that on those days. So all these young girls, they were curious to see the husband of that girl, and they were going on pointing out to different friends of that boy, is he your husband? He said, no. Is he your husband? No. The neti, not this. And when they pointed out the real husband, she never said yes. She only smiled and showed her joy. So when one realizes the Brahman, the joy, the happiness, the fearlessness, and the thought of eternity comes, he need not to ask anyone whether he has realized Brahman or not. So this is so thank you then. So let us say Shanti 3 times. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shantihi. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.